Hey, how's it going, everybody? In this one, I wanted to talk about blame and victimization because that is something we all do, especially at a young age, and it continues on till adult age until you realize that you're not a victim if you decide not to be. And so what happens, I feel, it comes from our teenage years mostly, and it kind of what we've been taught through our adults and life and what we see of life, is that we constantly blame other people, always. It was their fault, they made me do this. It was their fault, they put me into this. It was their fault, I followed. It was their fault. And we are always blaming others rather than looking in on ourselves. And one big thing about this is because when we're brought up, there's so much about right and wrong that we never wish to feel wrong. And when we feel wrong, we feel like it's such a bad thing. But we need to realize that mistakes are not a bad thing. That with mistakes, if we wish, we can learn from them and not experience the things that we don't want to experience anymore. And that's what has to do with blame and victimization. When we blame others, we're constantly putting ourselves in the victim spot. That we're experiencing this victimness because of them. That we're experiencing this victimhood because of the scenario we're put in, because of the life we're born into, because of me being born this race, because of etc. It's always the because and the whys and all of that. That's blame and victimization. If you wish to get out of that, you need to realize that you are not a victim. When we are a victim, we give up our power. We give it to everybody else, which is why we keep blaming everybody else, even though we're the ones that gave it up. And so it's a lot of taking responsibility for your own self. And I feel that people who like to blame and victimize themselves don't like taking the responsibility or realizing their own faults. And it's because they view it as such a bad thing. Yes, responsibility can be looked at as heavy or lots of work, but it could also, there's actually a lot of benefits out of it. And same with when you're victimizing yourself. You give up all of that and you think you can blame everybody else, even though it's your life you're living. If you wish to be the victim, realize that you're putting yourself in that spot and you're allowing those things to happen to you. When you get yourself out of being the victim and realizing you have the power, you no longer let things happen to you. You choose what happens to you. And that is the major difference between choosing and creating your life or allowing life to happen to you and feeling like life just isn't the way that you thought it was, or that this is just your bad luck or they had a better life. Doing all of that, you're doing to yourself and feeding yourself those thought patterns. When you empower yourself and get yourself out of that victim, and it honestly is just that, it's from this to this. Just that raising of your vibration about that you are not the victim, that you're not going to take this, that you're not going to allow for that to happen, that you can just take small steps. It does seem big at first, but realize that everything is just those small steps. And when I say small steps, it just starts with a thought pattern. It could be changing your view from, I can't believe he did that to me, to, why is it that he did that to me? Did I allow him to do that to me? Or did I allow her to do that to me? Did I allow them to speak that way to me? And how can I stop it? Can I tell them I don't wish for that? And it just starts with that. And from there, then if you have to build your confidence to be able to speak, because we need to realize that people, we don't read minds. Yes, we can read energy when we get there, but we don't read minds. And yes, again, we can get there, but but right now, at this moment, we are not reading other people's minds. But what we do know is ourselves. We do have control of our thoughts. We do have control of our actions, and we have control of our own lives. Even if sometimes it feels like you don't have control of it, you do. We have the power of our own free will and choice. And every individual who was born here on earth has that. And that is what we're here to experience. And that is what we're here to choose if we wish to. And so I understand that as a victim, if you are one right now, it seems so hard and so far before you get there, but trust me, it's not. It's the same as when you look at all these yoga poses going on now and how they got there. It took them 2-3 years to get there. So realize that in any profession where anyone, or their talents, it's not like they just snap at it as a finger. Some of them do because we're born with natural ability, but some of us don't. A lot of it is built on, and we don't see the everydays and every moments that they're building on these things. And the key to it is that believing that you're worth it, wanting it so bad, desiring it so bad that you make it happen, that you make this dream into your reality. And it is the steps you take and realizing that it is work. It is work for everyone, and it's up to you if you wish to put that work in. And it's kind of funny is because while it seems easier for you to not put in work, you're actually putting a lot of work into making yourself the victim, into feeding yourself those victim thoughts rather than not. And what's crazy about it is that you're putting yourself in this reality of I'm the victim, poor me, instead of I am no longer going to take this, I'm going to rise out of this, and I'm going to take the necessary steps that I feel for the reality I wish to experience. And I will get into this further as we go along too. As I said, it's not just easy, all of a sudden you're there, but it is, first of all, making that decision. The moment we make the decision of our choices, all the energy flows that way. Some of us might not even realize we're putting ourselves in the victim spot. Some of us might not even realize we're blame. So start being conscious of what your thoughts are saying. Are you blaming others? Are you feeling you're the victim? Are you thinking that you have no control over anything? Because the people who feel they have no control are ones that don't realize that you are in that victim spot because you have, in a way, either consciously or unconsciously put yourself in that spot. And again, not a bad thing. It's just about what we wish to experience. So good luck with that. Lots of love. And some of us need to experience that victim spot for a while so that we do not become victims for the rest of our lives. And some of us wish to be victims, and that's okay too. So again, whatever you wish to experience.